Hey guys, this is Cam315, joined.
What's up, guys? Long time no see.
Yes. This video, now it's funny because this video was supposed to come out last week, but because of obviously now that the holiday season is over, thank you, Lord. Um, what? We
Let's be
can.
let's be real. We all wanted to go on.
Yes. Anyways, the holidays are over, sadly. But as everything, comes to an end, we got new things started, and again, this is one of the first videos of the year 2021. But this video was actually supposed to be the very first one, but my co-host had to go to Mexico for New Year's, so obviously that wasn't in the cards. But it's okay. We're here now, and we're here to finally talk about an arc that we're all watching and what manga readers are currently reading at. Which I got to say this: congratulations to One Piece, the One Piece manga, and really Ichiro Oda for getting to One Piece 1000. To see a long running series manga like that get 1,000 chapters, that's crazy. And listen, we watched the anime up to this point. Um, the anime right now is on 956. They're only like 90 something episodes away from episode 1000, which will probably be a few months, maybe by the end of the year.
And it's hard to believe it's gonna go for another how many years?
5 years? Well, Oda said back in 2020, 5 years, so I guess 5 to 4 years.
That's insane. That's insane.
Yes, trust me, it is. But this is a great series. We both love it, and that's why we're here to talk about it. And we're here to talk about the most recent and the current arc going on in the main series, which is the Wano arc. Now, how we are going to do the Wano arc is we're going to split it into different acts. So this week we're talking only Act 1 stuff. So anything that happened in Act 1, we're just going to strictly talk about it. Next week, which will probably be our last arc review for the time being, it will be Wano Act 2. Now, like I said earlier, we watched the anime version. Thank goodness Act 2 ended 2 weeks ago, and Act 3 will be starting this upcoming Saturday. So whenever Act 3 is done, we will come back and we will talk about our thoughts on Act 3. I don't know if there's an Act 4 or more than that because I have not been caught up to the manga, nor I'm probably going to wait. Maybe I might catch up to the One Piece manga maybe after the one arc's completely done in both the manga and the anime form, which who knows how long that could take, but I'm thinking about it. But anyways, this arc was, I would say, the most highly anticipated, most hyped up arc for, honestly, since the time they got to Punk Hazard when Kinemon was first discovered.
And then let me just say, it's living up to its so far. It's living up to its expectations.
Well, yeah, and actually, my bad. It was like Wano was actually first hinted back in Thriller Bark with Ryuma's skeleton.
I just love the theme of this arc, man. Samurai, swordsman, all that stuff. I just love this.
Yeah, I really do like the fact that this arc, or well, the world building or the way the country Wano looks like, it's like feudal Japan times, like old Japan stories we've heard in the past.
It reminds me of Rurouni Kenshin, low-key.
There could be a nice comparison.
You should watch it, man. I know you don't. I know you don't have a plan to watch it, but guys, hashtag watch Rurouni Kenshin for Cameron, please.
Yes. I don't know if I will, but okay. Now I
Hey,
know this arc was highly hyped up in the manga version and in the anime version. Listen, even if you're not a fan of the One Piece anime, I'm sorry, you have to watch the Wano arc in the anime. It is probably one of the best, if not one of the best right now, if not the best animated arc in all of One Piece. Like it's that good. Like they really want to show you like no, we're gonna put a lot into this and we're gonna show you. So again, commendations or applause for Toei Animation for not, I guess, BSing it. They're not slacking off. They want it. They want to make the one arc
Indeed.
something memorable.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I think we can now get into our Act One stuff. Now, some little background information, and this really I forgot to mention this in the last episode, which was Reverie. Now, we all know the plan was everybody goes to Wano to eventually, be able to come up with a plan to overthrow Kaido and Orochi, or the Shogun, as they say it now. Now, first, we see Nekomamushi, which is Cat Viper, go over to Marco. He actually finds Marco in this little small village town area. And Nekomamushi asks Marco, like, hey, we're gonna do a raid on in Wano to take down Kaido and get Wano back. So could you help us? And well, before I talk about it, but Marco says, I can't help you now because what's going on is he's protecting this village that's kind of like was under the rule of Whitebeard at the time. And we all know Whitebeard's apparent son is essentially targeting old Whitebeard crew members or old Whitebeard places he used to own. And the reason why Marco says he can't come is because he wants to be sure to protect the village just in case Weavile comes out of freaking nowhere and starts attacking the village for no freaking reason. But he does tell, he does tell Nekomamushi to give Luffy a message when he gets to Wano, or when Luffy gets to Wano. So, it seems like Marco knows, I guess, our Wano members. So that could have something to do with, maybe, I don't know, Whitebeard going to Wano in the past, which I think the opening kind of gives it away, but that's what we're going to get into the backstory in a few weeks. But what were your thoughts when you first saw this scene? When I think this is the first time we've seen Marco since the time skip.
I mean, just it was a breath of fresh air seeing him again, and glad that he didn't get completely injured during his fight with Blackbeard.
Yes. And for people who didn't know, after the events of Marineford, there was another war that was off screen. I wish we could have maybe saw that, which was called the Payback War, which the remnants of Whitebeard's crew tried to get revenge on Blackbeard's crew. And sadly, Blackbeard's crew lost that war, and they the remnants of Whitebeard's crew lost that war and disbanded after that. So they're all went on their separate paths and stuff like that. So yeah, which I guess you can say is another reason why Blackbeard got the title of Emperor after doing all that stuff. Now, we come back to the Straw Hat Pirates. They actually get to they're getting close to Wano. First, it gets all stormy around and everything. Next thing you know, they come across this waterfall, and it's like, oh, so is this the way to get to Wano? Next thing you know, you see these goldfish, or these carps or whatever. I'm guessing they're goldfish. And they start plopping up, and Luffy, like only Luffy does, grabs onto them and literally is pulling the Sunny all the way up this freaking waterfall. Now, as of last week, this was the really, I guess you can say, we thought the only way you could get into Wano. When we get to Act 2, we'll speak about the other way to get to Wano.
Let me just say, when I first found out about that other entrance, I literally got out of my seat and walked out of the room.
Yes.
I just dropped everything and just I'm done.
Yeah, we will be talking about that other way in the next video of our arc reviews. But they're literally going up this waterfall, and we're talking about the anime version. This looks freaking crazy. And then there was like few shots. Like there's this one shot where it looks like it's from because there's this one shot of the waves and the storm from like a Japanese picture. The funny thing, that's an actual picture, but they only added the sunny and in that image, which was pretty nice. And it's really nice. And I'm like, okay, this is looking good. Next thing you know, you see this weird squid octopus thing just come out of nowhere, and he's like, oh, oh, oh.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom.
And essentially what happens to our crew on the Sunny.
And like when they get to the very top, or
yeah, when they got to the very top,
they got split up again by going into a whirlpool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Again, no, the tales of the Straw Hats always splitting up is always gonna be a thing.
A little too repetitive, huh?
Yes, I can't wait till they finally are all back together again. So yeah, they eventually get split up. Now, for the time being, we don't know where Sanji and the other crew members are at until we finally get them later on in this arc. But Luffy, what it looks like to drown in the water, but gets washed up alongside the Sunny on this shore. Now, after what happens is Luffy wakes up, he arrives in Wano, and he's just seeing like this freaking lion type of thing and this monkey thing just duking it out, and he's like, huh? What the hell's going on here? And next thing you know, what happens is we run into some of the animal kingdom pirates, or the beast pirates, however you want to call them, with a bag, and clearly they have this little girl in this bag that Luffy eventually saves. And who is this little girl who we find out to be?
Little Oniki calling Otama.
Yes. This is where we first meet Otama, which is, again, at the time when I was first watching this, I think like this was coming out near like My Hero Academia season 4. If you don't know the whole thing of we must protect Eri, this entire Act 1 was literally we must protect Otama.
I mean, who wouldn't protect a girl who suddenly starts calling you Oniki?
Yes. Now, what is the one thing about her devil fruit that we do find out?
She pulls like a dumpling out of her cheek, and when she feeds it to an animal, they get tame.
Yes. As of this point, we still don't know what the official devil fruit she has is called. I'm guessing I'm gonna call it the Dongo no Mi, because it's like a dumpling type of thing. I don't know. Until I'm guessing Oda puts it in an SBS or just reveals the devil fruit on what it is and what the devil fruit looks like. Yeah, and the funny thing is, I like how in Wano, since they're so closed off to the world, when they know they have devil fruit powers, they just call it magic because they don't know it's devil fruits. Like we see what Shinobu calls it, because she has a devil fruit, and she calls it, oh, this is my secret ninja magic trick, instead of saying, oh, it's a devil fruit power I have. So, yeah, we'll get back to Otama soon. Anyways, we actually cut away to Wano, and let me just say, the Wano country looks very freaking beautiful, very freaking detailed, especially in the anime version. The flower capital looks good with the nice little flowers and stuff like that. And this is when we get reintroduced to the Straw Hats, but we haven't really seen since Zoe. And that is one, Robin, who is dressed up as a geisha, who her thing is, because Kinemon gave them jobs to do, in Wano as they wait for the other crew members and also prepare for the raid. So Robin is a geisha, and essentially what she's doing is she's working her way up as a geisha to eventually get into Orochi's banquet to find out essentially what's going to be happening or how many men are going to be at the fire festival, which we found out funny enough in the last episode of how many men are going to be there. Usopp is essentially a toad oil seller, which he goes on with a nice little toad on his head, and he's selling this toad oil, which apparently can heal any wounds necessary. And don't remind me of a very heartbreaking scene in Act 2 when it comes to the toad oil, but we were not talking about that yet. His thing is essentially as he's selling, he needs to make sure he looks at the Wano country people's ankles to see if they have a crescent moon. If they have a crescent moon on their ankles, then they're essentially allies of Odin and they can join the rebellion and stuff like that. So he's also passing out the little sheets as well. Now, Frankie is a carpenter, and his role is he's trying to get the blueprints of Onigashima to know out its map layout so they'll be able to plan accordingly to their attacks and know the layout of Onigashima. Because apparently there's blueprints of the person who built Onigashima around the carpenter's place. And I believe they said the carpenter was the guy that built it, if I'm mistaken. And then our lovable samurai Zoro is a Ronin who gets eventually framed for a murder he didn't commit.
Like I said, Rurouni Kenshin. Rurouni Kenshin. Kenshin is a Ronin.
Yes. So Zoro gets captured, and it's funny because in one of the first episodes of Wano, the scene when he gets captured and they're trying to tell him to kill himself, man, was that scene beautiful when he rebelled against them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason why he was captured by these Wano people is one, yeah, he was framed for murders from a completely different guy who was doing killings. And then two, which is probably the most reason why he's captured, is because they see that he's got Shushui, which is Wano's most beloved treasure. And this isn't the end of Wano people having an issue with Zoro and his sword, Shusui. But what happens with that whole shenanigan with Zoro and that whole thing?
Well, let's just say he took the knife, about to stab his own abs, but then all of a sudden, you smell like blood. No, and he slit and he slit that guy.
Yes. I will say this. Because a lot of people have thrown out the theories that Zoro somehow related, or his teacher way back in East Blue was somebody from Wano, which it might be true. It hasn't been really, it really hasn't been announced from Oda yet if that is true. But this arc, they give him a lot of really good freaking moments.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he managed to escape with everything intact and stuff like that. Now we cut over back to Luffy, our lovable Straw Hat Man, and essentially he's talking with Otama about what her whole deal is. Now Otama, we find out, is she makes straw hats because she's a straw hat weaver, and also she's also a Konochi in training, which is a female ninja. And this is when we find out the reason are behind the main reason why she wants to become a Konochi in training. And what is the one thing that Luffy can relate to Otama, or the one thing Otama tells Luffy, or I guess I can say how Otama sees Luffy?
Moniki.
Well,
she has a bond with Ace.
Yes. When I saw that, I was like, oh, she knows Ace, which is really freaking interesting because now that, one, in the backstory, it shows that Ace apparently went to Wano some long time ago. And I think they said he went, I believe from his light novel that's out, he went to Wano before he joined the Whitebeard Pirates. This is when he still had his own little pirate crew, the Spade Pirates. But he went to Wano, and he actually met Otama, and he was, I guess you can say, the person he looked after, and Otama really liked him and stuff like that, and saw him as a big brother. And the relationship seemed like it was an adorable, cute little relationship.
Mhm. So
But
Luffy was the one who blurted out to Otama like that Ace was dead, and does she still not believe him? That's the question.
oh no, she believes him.
Okay.
Yeah. No, actually, we're going a little bit ahead, but what happens is Otama actually takes Luffy back to her little house area, and she gives him some rice as a thank you way for saving her and stuff like that. And this is when I guess the person who takes care of her or is watching over her named Hitetsu runs into Luffy. Essentially, and this is when we kind of find out the sad truth about Wano and its inhabitants in terms of people. We find out, sadly, that rice was originally supposed to be for Otama because it was her birthday and she worked all those like months making straw hats to sell to people to get the right amount of money to buy rice to make for her birthday. And I really like how Luffy was kind of shocked and he was like, "Oh shit, I kind of did a bad thing, didn't I?" Which was much appreciative, and stuff like that. And it's funny because earlier in that scene, as we see Luffy eating the rice, I mean, we see Otama's stomach like start to growl because she's hungry. That's when she goes over to this water or this like little river and she starts drinking this water and stuff like that. Eventually, what happens is like, Denzel said, Luffy eventually tells Otama that Ace died and everything. She doesn't believe him at first. Like, and this is the thing. This is what happens when your country's kind of cut off from the entire world. They didn't know about Marineford and everything that happened there. They didn't know that Ace got captured and eventually got executed. Like, this goes to show how closed off Wano is from the world. And have we even see in Reverie and other arcs that the Marines are like, oh yeah, Wano, no, that's an NO. Do not go there because they got samurais there that will kill us.
Mm-hmm.
So it really goes to show that Wano is very isolated, which is what Kinemon and Momonosuke want to do, are fulfilling Odin's will in trying to open up the borders of Wano to the world and stuff like this. And we find out after Otama hears all this news and after she's kind of disgusted at Luffy because she's like, this is a lie, you're lying and stuff like that. We start to see that she starts to essentially start coughing up this thing and is really sick. And we find out from Hitetsu that the water in the village area that they're in, their village is in shambles. Like, it was destroyed because of the Beast Pirates, which also goes to show the reign of terror Kaido has been doing in his time in Wano, which has been over like 20 years, which is crazy enough as is. And essentially, we find out that the water, because the factories around in Wano make the water very much contaminated and essentially poisonous. And the same thing goes with, like, we see later on, these animals who drink that water also kind of get, the meat isn't as good, or I guess you can say it's kind of like poison, because if the animals are also drinking it, they're not good in the insides of their body. They're drinking like essentially poison.
Mm-hmm.
So this is when Luffy decides to take Otama to go see essentially like a doctor type of thing, to make sure, she gets the right medicines to feel better and stuff like that. Now, funny enough, when we see Luffy get his nice little kimono type of thing, his red kimono, and then he takes a sword, which is one of the cursed swords, Katetsu the second, literally takes it, and Tetsu's like, "Give me back that sword!"
That Luffy.
Yes.
Why take a sword if you don't even need one?
Which we'll get into the fight with the Beast Pirates with that. So he's running, he's carrying Otama, and what does our lovable Straw Hat Man run into? Which was a very touching reunion.
Ah, yes. His good old friend, Rorona Zoro, or Zorojuno.
I did like the fact, also in the anime, it's funny because they did a one thing where the voice actor of Luffy and the voice actor of Zoro, they actually flipped their roles in just doing a voiceover. So you'd have the voice actor of Zoro playing Luffy's lines in that reunion, and Luffy playing Zoro's lines in that reunion. You can find that clip on YouTube. It was actually really freaking funny and stuff like that because you have the characters voicing things like how you would never think their characters would sound like.
Oh my god, I'm imagining it.
So,
But I'm just imagining the movie like Zoro, and Zoro being Mickey.
yeah, you trust me, you gotta find that on YouTube. It's funny. It's really freaking funny. But yeah, so they have a nice little reunion because listen, this is the first time Luffy and Zoro have seen each other since Zoe. And obviously, again, we know that the trust between these two characters since the very beginning, they do trust each other. They are like, even though you can say Zoro gets annoyed at Luffy from time to time, he considers Luffy a good, trusted friend and a captain he definitely can respect. So it was nice to see him. Also, Zoro does look pretty cool in his kimono type of thing, his Ronin costume. So that's cool. Anyways, so what we find out what happens is we see a familiar face who we haven't seen for quite a while, and that's Mr. Basil Hawkins. Mr. Guy who apparently tries to predict the future using his cards and stuff like that. Now, funny enough, the Beast Pirates start attacking Luffy and Zoro before Hawkins actually shows up. And what I found funny is how Luffy brings out the sword, like he's supposed to use it as like some sort of samurai. One, he draws the sword, and two, he's not even fighting with the sword like cutting people up. He's just punching people with the sword in hand.
So Zoro's a critical. That's not even how you use it. What are you doing?
Yeah, and funny enough, Zoro's like, can I hold that sword? Because he sees that it's a very famous sword he's got there, and he wants to hold it, and Luffy's like, no, you're not getting it. This is my sword. Which, okay.
Okay.
But anyways, Basil Hawkins shows up, and we find out Basil Hawkins apparently is in Kaido's crew. So now, funny enough, in the last episode, we found out the reason why he ended up in Kaido's crew. I ain't gonna say now. We're gonna say that for Act 2. But it's like, so I'm guessing when Kaido just jumped in front of you, you just gave in, didn't you? Wonderful.
He chickened in, or chickened out, or should I say chickened in?
I guess you can say that. He releases this really cool, like, straw scarecrow looking type of demon looking thing, which looked pretty badass. But sure enough, Luffy and Zoro get away. Also, whenever they also attacked it, one of the Beast Pirates men went down because he likes to tack lives on his stuff, and it eventually hurts other people, so he doesn't get hurt, which is kind of a broken devil fruit, but okay.
Pretty messed up too, like, think about it.
Yes. So yeah. Now when they escape, they actually run into this little rundown town. I said nice. This rundown town that looks like it's made of poor people. Essentially, they run into this lady named Suaru. But we later find out that's actually Kinemon's wife, which is crazy enough as is. And it looks like, I'm guessing she hasn't aged a day in her life since 20 years, but I must suck for her because her husband, I guess, used to work under the the shogun, which was Odin, and I guarantee they must have lived in a much nicer area than where she lives at now. So
Yeah.
yeah. So eventually, what happens is, you get this whole scene where they eventually fix up Otama. You have Otama eat this red bean soup, which she eventually starts to, appreciate because it's her birthday and everything. And she really treasures and thanks Luffy for what she's done. Now, we also run into another girl. Well, girl somewhat, but she calls herself a woman, which is Okiku.
Yeah, I was actually trying to ask you about that. Is that a woman?
Um, we can talk about that next week for our Act 2 video because that's when it's brought up.
Yeah. She's tall, guys. She's tall.
Yeah. So the town they're currently in is named Okabor Town. And the reason why it's so poor and how bad it is, one, Okabor Town is like on the outskirts of the flower capital. And this is essentially like a very, very poor town. They barely get any food. And like how bad it is, they essentially get these scraps of whatever from the flower capital there is. Orochi is like, all right, you can give whatever trash the other people in the freaking trash little town they want. So essentially, they're eating garbage or leftovers from what people have already eaten. One, I'd be sick to my stomach if I found out I was eating somebody else's food that they had already eaten from. Again, reminds me for something that comes up later in Act 2, which is probably disgusting of Orochi to do, but we'll talk about that in Act 2. And, and we find out too that essentially what happens is Orochi, he gets all the good fresh food from Odin's farm. He gets all that good fresh food, like the fresh apples, the fresh, any types of food, the fresh fruits, fresh vegetables. He gets all that for himself as well as a few other people he knows. And then they just pass it all down to the poor people, which really goes to show that this ruler, this new shogun, definitely does not look out for all the people in Wano.
Oh man, Orochi will start to get more and more annoying later on.
Yeah. Now, in this whole thing, we have two more beast pirates. Funny enough, I kid you not. A guy named Batman. No, not the Batman from DC. A clumsier, stupider looking Batman with a devil fruit. And another man called Gazelle Man. Okay. Okay. They eventually capture Otama and take her to the lion belt holder Hold'em, which is very enough weird guy. Yeah, now this is some of the first we see of the Smile Devil Fruit users, which, wow, they're not called the Beast Pirates for nothing, aren't they? Because they're all animals.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, now, what? That's great. Anyways, what happens next is what do we see in the efforts to go get Otama?
Specifically, which part exactly?
You can talk about the sumo part if you want.
Oh, right. There's this one. What's his name again? That one sumo guy.
I forgot his name. You could just say the little sumo champion or whatever.
Let's just say Luffy starts to get involved in that sumo fight against the so-called champion of sumo, and he starts taking a stance with Toskoi, Toskoi, and my God, should I say everything? I can't really name everything word for word.
If you don't want to put everything word for word, you don't have to if you don't want to.
Well, let's just say he got mad at his. Yeah, no, I can't. I can't.
You sure?
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, what happens is he eventually Luffy gear thirds him, and funny enough, it goes into Hold'em's little base area. And this is when we kind of get well, again, a skirmish between Luffy and Hold'em. Now, eventually, what does Luffy do against him? Um, or do you want to say it, or do you want me to say it?
The Red Hawk.
Yes. And what does this make Otama see in Luffy?
Ace.
Yes.
Her man.
Huh?
Her man Ace.
Oh, okay.
Not in that way. Not in that way. Not in that way.
Yeah, I was about to say. But and funny enough, actually, I forgot to mention this. Otama did tell Ace that she hopes to join his crew at one point and join him on the adventures. But the reason why Ace didn't take her along is because she's too young. But Ace did say, maybe when you get older, I'll come back and I'll bring you along. Sadly, he can't do that because he's dead.
That's putting it bluntly.
Which I would not be shocked if Luffy kind of does the same thing by the end of Wano. I would not be shocked to say for Luffy to see, well, maybe when you get older, I'll promise you like Ace, like in a way like how he promised Laboon all the way back, or said he would come back.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he could say that to Otama when Wano arc's over. I'll come back and retrieve you when you're not a ninja. So yeah, yeah, so yeah, he does Red Hawk. She sees literally Ace in Luffy, and I think that's when she starts to, I guess you can say, forgive Luffy for everything that has happened and stuff like that. They eventually escape, thanks to this horse girl named Speed. Yes, that Otama does her Kibidongo thing and makes her her submissive slave.
Oh my god, that donkey face though.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Now we do. So they go back to Okabor Town, and we do get a really nice scene from Luffy, which goes to show you how much he wants to stop Kaido, and help out his Wano friends, in terms of everything, because he's seen how bad it is, and he sees like how bad Otomo has it, and it's after he gives her this apple. He essentially tells Otama that when by the time he leaves Wano, he'll make sure she'll eat until she's full every day. And I saw that, I was like, that's a good guy. That's a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
It goes to show you that Luffy really does want to help the people of Wano, because let's be honest, it's not like he's helped 24 different countries in the past. Really, 2 countries if we're being honest. Or technically, no, 3.
Yeah.
Alabasta, Skypiea, and Dressrosa.
Mm-hmm.
So, although he doesn't like to be called a hero, but I digress. And then I forgot Fishman Island. So 4. In a way, it's kind of the whole thing where Luffy's gonna try his hardest to save the people and make sure there's no oppressive system, because we know Luffy wants people to be free because he likes to be free and stuff like that. So yeah. Um, we that here Otama and Speed eventually go off back to Otama's little home village. Law actually runs into Luffy where Zoro and Okiko are. They eventually go to one of Odin's castles. Now, one thing we do find here too is this. We also find out that yeah, there are lies about Odin and the whole past and stuff like that, thanks to our good man Orochi. Like, you cut over to this like school where they're teaching, these kids about the past of Wano, And instead of saying how honorable and a good person Odin was for Wano, they eventually said, oh, yeah, one day Odin went rogue and he freaking betrayed the people of Wano. But then Kozuki, not yet, no, I think, no, not Kozuki. Orochi came in, our shogun came in and took him down, and he saved and liberated the country and stuff like that. And you're like, seeing all this propaganda and stuff like that. I'm like, these guys are really, really brainwashed.
Yes, yes, they are.
Because technically, it's the complete other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Which we will find out in the coming weeks of the backstory, if you're watching the anime, of how Orochi eventually rose to power and took over Wano with an iron fist. We obviously knew he made some sort of deal with Kaido to help him with that whole thing, but yeah. But it goes to show you, like, how much this dude has done to the country, to where he's literally getting lies out about the good name of Odin.
Mm-hmm.
And lucky enough, there are people that still believe in, well, the prophecy, which, funny enough, I think it is in Act 1. We don't see Orochi's, what he looks like yet, but we see that Oroshi's clearly bothered by the 20-year prophecy that might come to fruition and stuff like that. So, yeah. Anyways, eventually what happens is Luffy, Kiku, and Law and Zoro eventually go to the ruins of Odin's castle, which was burned down. But knowing our lovable swordsman as he is, he gets lost and he wanders off and goes to a boat to eventually meet off with, sadly enough, a very memorable character, Yasui, or Tomoyasu. That's kind of it for Zoro in terms of Act 1, which I kind of found weird that he just wandered off out of nowhere.
Good grief. Did I make the wrong turn again?
This is when they meet up with Kinemon again. Luffy also does see Nami and the other Straw Hats, who went on the Whole Cake Island adventure with them, not the ones who are still in the thing. Now, Kinemon eventually tells the truth to Luffy and the others about their origins, and that they're actually from 20 years in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So, time travel. It's not a, series if you don't include time travel. Well, at least time travel here is not as confusing as, say, Dragon Ball or any other time travel stories they like to tell in any other animes or any other forms of media. Now we find out that Odin, because Kinemon talks about Odin. Odin was essentially the son of a shogun named Kozuki Sukuyaki, but he was eventually exiled from the flower capital because he got into too many fights. And then we also find out that he wanted to open up Wano's borders and stuff like that, and his father never wanted all that stuff to happen and things like that. But what happens is when he went to the Curry region, which he resided in at the time of his after being exiled, essentially he defeated Ashura Doji, who we know is big fat guy with the pink fluffy hair, who was Curry's most dangerous criminal. Eventually, after that, he eventually became the daimyo of Curry, and then he had his followers, which were what we know as the 9 Red Scabbers, which are what we know currently right now: Kinemon, Nekomamushi, Dogstorm, which is Inuarashi. There's 9 of them, so I got 3. Okiku, Kanjuro, Raizo, Kawamatsu, Denjiro, who we have yet to see in terms of the anime version. I know in the manga he's already been revealed to who Denjiro is. Then who is the last one? Kinemon, Kanjuro, Raizo, Okiku, Kawamatsu, Inuarashi, Nekomamushi, Denjiro. I'm missing one more.
Are you?
Huh?
Are you missing one more?
Yeah, there's 9. I already said Kawamatsu.
Oh, my bad. That was saying it to myself.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. Well, we get more about that in Act 2. But Odin had his followers, which essentially who Kinemon ruled under and stuff like that. Now, what happens is Odin then left the borders of Wano illegally because he sailed with the Whitebeard pirates, which makes sense of how, Nekomamushi and some of the other people know who Marco is and any members of the Whitebeard pirates. He sailed with the Whitebeard pirates for a time, and then he eventually sailed with the Roger pirates and stuff like that. What happens after that if he comes back to Wano, after sailing with Roger, he gets executed 20 years ago. And essentially what happens is Toki, his wife, sends Kinemon, Momonosuke, Kanjuro, and Raizo 20 years into the future to save Wano. And they keep their daughter, Hiyori, in the present with some of the other members. We'll talk more about that in Act 2, but, well, Hiyori's side of her story. But what they do is eventually they end up 20 years later into Wano, which everything's under the rule of Orochi, and that's when we see Kinemon and the others go out to sea, try to find some help, and that's what leads them into running into the Straw Hats on Punk Hazard and stuff like that, and everybody knows that whole gig of story and stuff like that. Now, we see that Toki apparently had some sort of time devil fruit, which is very interesting. Now, the crazy thing is, we don't know if somebody has already eaten that devil fruit because it's more than likely she's dead. And so, talk about another overpowered devil fruit if somebody's got their hands on it.
Mm.
Okay. So, I'm guessing my thoughts to you, my friend. What did you think when Kinemon revealed how they got there and the whole process to what happened to them getting to the 20-year, I guess you can say, in their version, their 20-year time skip?
My head hurts from all the time travel stuff, let me just say. Pretty crazy, and now I don't know, but it's all coming clear to me now. From the beginning, I was all like, wait, isn't Hiyori's Momonosuke's younger sister? Why is she? Oh, okay. I get it now.
Yeah. Anyways, after that, eventually, Kinemon tells our heroes the plan. Essentially, their plan is this: to raid Kaido's base on Onigashima on the day of the Fire Festival, which at this current point in time is only 2 weeks away. And essentially, the meetup place is at Habu Port. And essentially, this is what Usopp's also doing is they're giving sheets to people with crescent moons on their ankles. Again, what Usopp's doing and stuff like that. Oh, the 9th guy was Ashura Doji. Dumb. So eventually, Kinemon eventually goes on to say to complete their 9 red scabbards little list. They also say they need to find 3 men, which is Ashura Doji, Kawamatsu, and Denjiro. Now, this is what happens. Now, we later find it to be Ashura Doji, which is Shutenmaru, which is the bandits, at the time. He was actually raiding Okabor Town. Funny enough, we run to our woolly mammoth and let's just say Jack again. Oh no, he's not gone. He's back. He eventually gets into a fight with Shutenmaru or Ashura Doji. And let's just say who comes down?
The big, the pink-haired boy.
The pink-haired boy.
Never mind.
who comes down after the fight's going on? He's apparently
Yes.
drunk.
Oh yeah, then. Oh yeah, him. Oof. What's his name?
Kaido. Now,
Oh, Kaido. Oof. What is okay?
who else was I talking about?
Forget it.
Okay. Okay. My thoughts. Okay, first things first. What were your thoughts when you first saw Kaido transform into a effing dragon?
Well, it was teased in the opening, so I shouldn't be that surprised, but the way he was just going down all drunk and stuff. mm. Shenron.
Yes. I think he's even bigger than Shinron.
By a lot.
Yeah, and also he's blue too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay. So what happens is Kaido's antagonizing Jackie's like, Joker, I thought I heard the Straw Hats were our Luffy and Law were around. Why haven't you told me? And we know that Kaido does not like Luffy or Law because of what they did to his little operations. And like the sneaky bitch he is, Basil Hawkins in a way so Kaido doesn't take out his rage on them. It's like, oh, he lies. And funny enough, he doesn't know that they're all there. Hawkins is like, they're at Odin's castle, which, shockingly enough, they're all there at. Now, Luffy and Law, well, mostly Luffy, he sees Kaido and he starts booking it after him. Now, Law's like, God damn it, Straw Hat, what are you doing? So he starts following him too because he can't take it. And, Law's like, what are you doing, Straw Hat? Follow and stick with the plan. But Luffy's like, Kaido's right there. I want to kick his ass. Which, I don't think that's a good idea.
At least Luffy was trying to knock the drunk out of him.
Yes. Now, Kaido, after hearing the fact that they could be up there at Odin's castle, he flies up there all over Wano. And this man literally, and this was animated freaking beautifully. This dude does a blast breath. Like, unlike Shenron, he can actually fire from his breath like a regular dragon. And he utterly obliterates the Straw Hats that were left in Odin's castle. And we were believed for them to be dead.
Mm-hmm.
When you saw this, how scared were you of Kaido's power?
If I was there, I think I'd be frozen.
Yeah, that was crazy. Watching it animated I was like, are you serious? This man did not just, I don't know, try to literally kill the Straw Hats and everybody. I'm like, so much for that plan, huh? Funny enough, Luffy's seeing this, and he watches this from a distance, him and Law, and he's like, oh shit, Savity Archipelago all over again, damn it! And this is when Luffy goes into, I guess you can say, Kaioken mode because, now, if you watch the anime version, and I'm going to talk about the anime version of this fight. So I remember when Luffy versus Kaido in the anime came out. One, I thought the episodes were great. I literally thought the episodes were wonderful. But the reason why there was a whole upheaval and a whole issue with the whole fight in the anime for Kaido versus Luffy had to do something with what I might say, or what I'd like to call the manga elitist. If you don't know that term, it's people that just can't deal with the fact that the anime is, I would say, still pretty good. And, these manga elitists want the anime to essentially be word for word or panel v panel, copy and paste like the manga version. So you had a whole issue with these people who obviously enjoy the manga come out on this fight and say, what the hell was this? And you want to know what their
Oh,
excuse was?
oh, yeah, people. Maybe we should get Fairy Tail to tell you how that went for them, because the way I see from Fairy Tail, for example, I pretty much see that they just pretty much copied and pasted from the manga in the final chapters.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, oh, so they're just putting it word for word and everything. And let me just say, it didn't go well for them. I'll give you that. I'll tell them that.
Mm-hmm. But as I was going back to, you had these people who watched the anime, fight of Luffy versus Kaido, and this is what these people said. So Kaido can take all these hits from Luffy and stuff like that. That's stupid. He only took like 1 or 2 shots in the manga. This heavily depowers Kaido after taking all these freaking blows. And I heard that and I'm like, how does that depower Kaido? So, and the thing is this. So you're telling me you first get to Wano, and one of the first fights you get to see in this entire arc is Luffy versus Kaido. So please let me put out these options, these 2 options. So, would you want a copy and paste version of the fight where the anime did it copy and paste? You just have Luffy do, you go down, give him his big gigantic elephant gun, do the elephant gun barrage, and then Kaido eventually powers down, and then he does the whole Thunder Bagara knockout thing. You want that? Or do you want something that would seem more epic where the animators put time and effort into expanding this fight a bit more, which is what the purpose of the animes are when it comes to these short fights, to make these shorter fights seem more entertaining and more fun. And I love the animation, what they did and the episodes catered to this fight. I thought they were some of the top tier, animated fights. Would you want a longer drawn out fight to be like, oh, to show like, oh shit, Luffy's putting all this effort into it, and it still ain't done anything. And again, how does it depower Kaido when he didn't even use any hockey in that fight whatsoever?
None at all.
And the reason also too, for people who don't understand why they draw out these short fights, is so guess what? The manga can stay ahead. I personally enjoy when it doesn't matter. It can be for any anime. I personally enjoy when there is, and I'll say this for example, without giving spoilers. My Hero Academia's recent war arc just finished this past Sunday. There was some fights in this last chapter that we got conclusions to that we barely didn't even see a trace of. Which I guarantee you, in the anime version for My Hero Academia, when they do adapt the war arc, they might give us those fights that were off screen or shorter, which every anime does, according to all those fan favorite mangas. They draw out sometimes these fights that were either short or B off screen, and they put that and adapt into the anime to give you a nice little filler episode. Be like, oh, that's really cool. I want to see more of that character. So when I first heard this whole hatred, how fans were ripping Toei for extending the Luffy versus Kaido fight, personally, I didn't care. I enjoyed it, and I personally thought people were hypocrites. And I only really say it because people are just mad about the stupid One Piece anime pacing issues. Listen, if you want the pacing to be so damn fast, then the anime would have been caught up to the manga. And you would legit probably have a bad looking anime because they would have to rush these episodes out to keep up with the manga stuff.
That right.
So those were my thoughts to that whole stuff. If you heard the outcry of hatred that, people had an issue with Luffy versus Kaido in the anime. Whatever. It's the same thing. You got from point A to point B. That's Luffy getting pissed off thinking his crew's dead thanks to Kaido. He starts dishing out every attack in the freaking butt he's got, from elephant gun to elephant gatling to all sorts of freaking, attacks he has in his arsenal. And still at the end of the fight, guess what? You still got the same Thunder Bagara knock out Luffy in Gear 4. So what is the whole issue about? I personally think people are being more nitpicky. Again, I say it to anybody who watches anime or read the manga. If you don't like the anime, don't watch it then. You can read the manga and be just as happy. And if you want to watch the anime and read the manga at the same time, fine. You're still getting the same stuff. I'm not saying don't critique the anime if the anime isn't as good as you might expect it. I'm not saying that. But don't critique a fight because, this is how it wasn't depicted in the manga. Luffy shouldn't be getting these extra 13, 14 hits on Kaido. When at the end of the day, I'm looking at him like, well, you still get to point A to point B. But no, they wanted it to be quick, so they shortened it up the episode to make it, this fight should end in this one episode. Listen, I'd rather have a more developed, drawn-out fight than a rushed fight. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This was Kaido. This wasn't, I don't know, Foxy. Or no. Not Foxy. Captain Morgan.
The fact that you just brought up Foxy out of the blue like that.
I'm just saying, for example.
Good example, man. Good example.
But I guess I'll say Captain Morgan's better because they're not going to freaking give all that screen time to Morgan, but it's Kaido. And honestly, this is like one of the first fights you see Kaido in. So of course they're going to put time and effort into this. And I appreciate Toei for doing this. But for the people who are apparently up in arms about it, listen, more power to you. You're entitled to your own opinions. I think you're overreacting a little bit too much. You still get to point A to point B. There. Okay, the fight was 2 episodes long. Big deal. The same second episode, you get, or I think the next following episode, you get the end of Act 1. I guess your thoughts on that whole thing I just said, or your thoughts on the fact that manga fans always want to complain about certain anime tendencies.
I see that everywhere these days, actually. So I'm kind of already used to it.
Yeah, listen.
Especially,
if you guys,
especially for SAO, because my goodness, let's be real. SAO has been pretty underrated these past few. I don't know. The last 2 seasons, the first 2 seasons, for example, people have gotten people have been hating on that anime just for like the storytelling, but they didn't appreciate season 3.
And listen, what we're just trying to say is, listen, if you like light novel versions or manga versions of your favorite animes, then just stick with them. If you don't prefer the anime, you don't have to watch it. They're just here. We're giving you an animation adaptation of what you like to read. But we're not saying we're not saying like, we're defending it. Listen, all animes have their own individual problems, from the best to even the worst. We're not saying like, they're damn nearly perfect. But I just hate the fact that the reader portion of the fan base just wants to criticize the anime for no reason, when in some cases, sometimes you can find things that the animes do better than the books.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. What were your thoughts on the fight? But I love the fight. I love the fight, though. The fight was intense and crazy. And it got really personal when it was revealed to Luffy that Otama was actually attacked by Kaido on the way there. And it looked like Otama was dead.
Yeah. That was beautifully animated, actually. And especially with the reactions of Law and Hawkins, like looking at Luffy pushing Kaido, was like,
Hawkins, bruh, he had me dying every time they go over to his face. He was like, because this man was like, I stood before this guy. I didn't even put up a fight. Why is he fighting him? And it's funny because every time he freaking huh?
Because he isn't up. I'm not gonna say that word.
I found it funny how when Luffy knocked Kaido down in his dragon form, everybody was like, Kaido-sama, are you okay? And Kaido, essentially what happens is Kaido deforms back to, I'm guessing, his base form, which funny enough, only a few weeks ago, we got revealed what Kaido's devil fruit is, which put a lot of freaking Gyarados memes for Kaido I saw on YouTube thumbnails, like legit not. Like there was legit Gyarados freaking things when it came to Kaido. I was like, so Gyarados is Kaido now. Wonderful.
I can definitely see that.
Well, he's blue.
And he kind of looks like a fish.
I guess you can say that. He does have his whiskers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm guessing you can say he goes back into his regular human form. Luffy powers up to Gear 4th, and he's dishing out Kong, Oregon, all sorts of his famous Gear 4th attacks. But all freaking Kaido does is like, okay, I guess I'm not drunk anymore and you pissed me off, so I'm going to give you a Thunder Bagara, which I thought was pretty freaking cool. And as Luffy's trying to use a King Kong gun, gets hit and one shot. Just like what happened against Big Mom. Well, difference is Big Mom was kind of guarding against him and he deformed at the Gear 4, but here he got hit and knocked the hell out.
Dramatic finish.
I think we can both say we definitely saw this probably coming because Luffy's going up against an emperor.
You may be an emperor too, Luffy, but you just got started.
Yeah. And the thing is, after he's knocked down, Law's trying to retrieve him, but Hawkins is like, no, buddy, you're not getting him. You're not getting him. And he does it because he puts like this sea prism nail in his freaking arm, and eventually Law runs away and stuff like that. This isn't the first of Law and Hawkins. I will say that. So what happens is when Luffy's just beating down into a freaking pulp, he's just bleeding out at this point. He's knocked out. We see that his Conqueror's Haki is still activated because some Beast Pirates tries to come over and pick him up, and they get knocked out from his Conqueror's Haki. So this guy's knocked out and still using Conqueror's Haki because that's how pissed he is. Even Kaido's like, I don't like the look on his face. Get him out of here. Take him to Udon. Now, you would think Kaido would be like, kill him after everything Luffy's done to his operation. But Kaido's like, no. Which, funny enough, we find out in the last episode of One Piece in the anime, we find out that Kaido don't play like that. Essentially, what he tries to do is he tells them to put Luffy into prison, and he's going to do whatever he needs to do to make Luffy's life a living hell to make him join his crew, which is kind of Kaido's spiel, which he forces you to do all these things that are so terrible, and to a point where you kind of give him to his submissiveness, and you're like, okay, join my crew. Let me join your crew, Kaido-sama. But we know Luffy doesn't play like that.
Mm-hmm. Good luck, Kaido.
So, yeah, they told Kaido just like, go put him in Udon, break his will, essentially, and make him join my crew. Because he respects Luffy's strength and what he has. Now, the other Straw Hats who we thought were dead are actually alive. And thanks to Shinobu's devil fruit, the Juka no Mi, which essentially makes things decay. She decayed the ground they were on and essentially made them, going or dive deeper into the ground, which didn't make them get hit by Kaido's fire attack or his blast breath and stuff like that. And how Act 1 ends is when Luffy's poster gets all around Wano and stuff like that, and you get the whole from every Straw Hat who know in the Wano Kingdom. I swear, that was probably one of the most funniest faces I've ever seen. Now, one thing, can I just say this? Robin does not need to be making that face again.
I know. That's what I was gonna say. Like, why did they have to make Robin make that?
They didn't need to do that to her.
They did not.
Need to do that to her. And the crazy thing is, that isn't the first time. That isn't the last time she makes that face.
Oh yeah, that one time, but I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah.
Yet.
Funny enough, they do cut over to they do cut over to Zoro, and he makes the same exact face, but he's referring to a food he eats. He's like, huh? Because you think, oh wait, he saw Luffy, what happened to Luffy and stuff like that, but no, he's talking about something that he's eating, and I'm like, but as Act 1 is ending, first we see this very voluptuous lady playing this banjo type of thing. She's wearing a mask. We know who it is, but you know. But as Luffy's getting thrown into prison, who do we see next to Luffy in the same cage?
Mr. Kid himself.
And I did like the scene where they're both in jail. They look at each other, they're like, huh? And, and they're like, how did you get here? Which we all know Luffy and Kid do not like each other very much. I think it's more Kid doesn't like Luffy, but okay.
Yep. Goku and Vegeta relationship there.
Would you classify them as Goku and Vegeta relationship?
I could say so.
I guess you can say. Funny enough.
And then again, maybe Luffy and Law could be, but no.
No.
Luffy and Vegeta. I mean, Luffy and Kid. Wait a minute.
I was about to say, I was like, Luffy and Vegeta. I don't think Vegeta's in the One Piece universe, but okay.
Ugh. Vegeta would be wiping everybody out.
But yeah, and that's when Act 1 concludes, and yeah, that's it. So I would say, and funny enough, this whole thing is like a Japanese type of play style where they have different acts. Like like in here, we have the 3 acts: our opening, our middle, our end, or what we like to call the climax. Those are only the beginning, and we all know in the beginning, yeah, you get introduced to the world, your heroes get into the thing, and eventually they come across the main bad guy and his main antagonist, or really the main antagonist. They eventually lose, which is what happens here. And you end this act on a low point where, oh shit, our heroes are screwed. But yeah, this act was really good. I enjoyed it. Excuse me. It made you get immersed with the land of Wano, and at the same time, you have that ending where it's like, we're in trouble now, or how the Simpsons meme is, I'm in danger.
OMG.
So, what were your thoughts on Act 1 of the Wano arc, my friend?
I'm liking the theme. It's more my style, I must say.
So, before we end this video off, we're going to give our favorite parts of Act 1. So, our favorite part of Act 1. So, my friend the Red Wolf, what was your favorite part of Act 1 of the Wano arc?
I had to say when Luffy made a vow to Otama, like he promises to make it to the point where Otama won't go hungry again, and Otama sees Ace. saying the same thing back then too. I would say that would have to be my favorite part.
It's a nice moment. That's a nice moment. I guess my favorite moment would be Kaido knocking Luffy out.
Oh man, of course that would be your favorite, seeing the hero would get one-shotted.
Well, it was our first thing of Kaido we saw and what he can really do. So yeah, but other than that, that's kind of all we got to talk about in terms of Act 1. Next week we'll be back for Act 2, and I can't not wait for that because that's what we're currently at. Well, that's what we currently finished at, and yeah, so and that's really it for arc reviews after that till Act 3 is done. But you will be getting One Piece movie and One Piece special reviews going forward after this. So that's also good. But yeah, so next week will be Act 2, where we deal with a certain big fat dinosaur man named Queen.
Mm-hmm. Surprise faces though.
I wish I could do his dance when he was first introduced.
It can't be that hard, can it?
It can't be that hard, but I'm definitely not doing that.
Then how come you say you wish you could?
But listen, Queen is hilarious. I like Queen, even though he's a guy with a girl's name. But okay. But other than we're gonna get out of here. So if you guys liked the video, leave a like. Put in the comment section what were your favorite thoughts on Wano Act 1, and where are you currently at in terms of the One Piece Wano arc. Sorry, my bad. Again, do not post spoilers in the comment section regarding any Act 3 spoilers, please and thank you. Anything let's just strictly keep the comments to Act 1, please. Act 1 stuff. No Act 2, no Act 3. I don't know if there's an Act 4. Who knows? Anyways, yeah. Hit the subscribe button if you want to get more One Piece content. Whether it's getting the anime or these arc reviews, eventually movie and special reviews, or anything else on the channel. So yeah. So other than that, guys, I'm gonna get out here. Hopefully, guys have a great rest of your evening or day or whenever you're checking out this video. Until then, guys, stay safe out there and have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Peace.